Good morning and welcome back to Workforce Wednesday in the Kentucky Chamber Workforce Center's Bus to Business virtual program series. My name is Harper Smith and I am the Senior Manager of the Kentucky Chamber Workforce Center and I help direct the Bus to Business program. I would like to thank our partners and sponsors in this effort, Kentucky SHRM and AT&T, for their investment in helping to bring classrooms to careers, and I'd also like to thank the team at Ulimi for their support through their virtual event platform. All of our resources and videos are housed on our website, kychamber.com/bus2business. This session is being recorded as well as live streamed to Facebook and YouTube, and it will be available to rewatch and share afterwards. So whether you're one of the over 150 students we have tuning in live with us on April 21st, or you're watching it at a later date, thanks so much for tuning in, and we hope you guys learned something new. Today is the fourth of a 6-part series with Horse Country to spotlight critical positions within the equine industry. Today, we will be hearing from Hallway Feeds. Our Talent Pipeline Management Equine Project Manager, Lori Bays, will be watching the chat for any questions and will direct those over to our speaker. So I will go ahead and kick it over to Hallway Feeds and we'll get started. Thank you so much.
So I'm sorry. All right, receiving screen. We're up here on the receiving screen. When the pretty little truck comes off of the scale that we saw out front, it drives around the building, pulls out back, and it pulls over a pit. There is literally a great big hole in the floor. It's got bars over it. If you've ever seen a cattle guard on the front of a farm, the cattle won't walk across it, but you can drive a vehicle over it. It's kind of like that, but it's really heavy duty, so semis can drive over it. Well, the semi drives over it, and then it will, the driver comes inside, they see Jared, and again, have to verify what they have, and he sets the computer system up to receive the ingredient. So when you look at this screen, anything that's green is what's turned on and active. Other lights mean other things, but for what we're talking about right now, green is on and active. So a truck actually just left a minute ago, but if we follow the green lines, this isn't exactly to scale, but everything, the numbers all stay the same, the letters on the distributors all stay the same, and it makes sense how everything flows. So after they get the approval from Jared or Corey when he's in here on what the ingredient is, they go back out and they crank open the bottom of that truck and the ingredient free flows down into that pit. Well, that receiving conveyor drags the feed inside, the ingredient rather, inside, and then it goes up this receiving elevator. We call it a leg. This is the tallest point of the mill. It's about 165 foot tall. So there's a conveyor that goes all the way up and over and all the way down. So it is a very long conveyor with buckets on it that scoops up the ingredient and then takes it and dumps it over out of that pipe. So you can see here, it dumped it over to the C distributor. C distributor dumped it out to the very, very large bins outside, and we received pulverized oats last. So again, all we had to do was follow, and you can tell where it landed. Now, Jared just turned off, or actually, I guess the automation software turned it off itself. The truck has already left. Nothing else is flowing into that conveyor. So one by one, as these systems empty out, the automation software automatically turns off. So I pointed out Jared here, and we're talking about jobs at Hallway Feeds and what people do. So this is Jared Pendleton.
How you guys doing?
Good. I'm the only one that can hear. Yeah, they can hear me. I was kind of waiting for somebody to answer. Natural reaction there. Jared, as I said, is our Director of Technology and Innovation. Can they hear? Here, let me do this. Here, Jared. All right. So, Jared, tell us about your job here. What do you do at Hallway Feeds?
Yeah, so my job is to just manage the continual improvement of our technology in the plant. Is that good? So, we're always looking for ways to improve our process, improve efficiency, improve quality. So that is my main job, is just looking for ways to improve the process. And then ongoing, just daily, is production and making sure the quality is up to snuff and managing some of the production staff and warehouse staff.
Right. So what's really interesting about your role, and they're all looking at this software behind us, we didn't have that 5 years ago.
Nope.
We had a big board. It had switches and knobs. It was pretty, but it didn't look like this. Did you have anything to do with that software?
I had a little bit to do with that software.
He's being kind of modest.
Yeah, so that software is custom designed for our mill. Everything you see on the screen is exactly as it is here. It's kind of an envelope package. They have the software made, but it's not customized yet. So we had to go through and find all the wires, all the bins, all the labels, all the different motors and conveyors and augers and everything, and map that all out and have spreadsheets and whatever. And they designed it, and then we had to go through approval process and testing and everything. It's almost like developing a new software, but it's custom feed automation.
Yeah. So it's a big process. It looks pretty on the screen and it looks fairly simple, but what it took to actually get there, that was a whole lot of behind the scenes work for a long time. So thanks for that description there, Jared. And again, that's another job at Hallway Feeds, and that's a pretty technical one as well. He makes it look easy. You know, he's here now and he told it what to make, and he sits back a little bit. But this morning he ran out and was working on one of the robots. Again, says he manages people. There's 4 in the production staff, and then 4 forklift drivers. So it's a number of people that he's that are direct reports for him. So that was receiving the ingredients. That's not how you make the feed. That's just how we bring the ingredients in. Now, remember this F distributor over here, bins 1 through 26 underneath of it. Those are the ingredients that the bins that we're gonna pull out of to make the horse feed. All right. So here we are. There's the F distributor. There's the bins underneath of it. But this is how we'll actually mix it together. So, I mean, I haven't told you yet. What ingredients do we have when we're making horse feed? So unfortunately, nobody's here to answer me back. I'm going to go ahead and tell you. You're going to have things like oats. We'll have different versions of oats, pulverized oats, whole oats, crimped oats. You've got cracked corn. You're going to have an alfalfa source. We're going to have soybean meal, soy hulls, things like that. Protein, vitamins, minerals, wheat sources. Those are the macro ingredients. Those are the ones that we pull out of to make the feed. And then we have micro scales, and we have very small bins. We were looking earlier, they were replacing some or adding to some of the ingredients. Those are things that we add a few ounces or pounds per batch. And when I say batch, I'm talking 4 tons, 160 bags of feed at a time. So those are things like copper, zinc, selenium, vitamins A, D, and E, salt. So micro ingredients. So the big macro ingredients come out of these very large bins that are actually over our head when we step back out into production. And then those micro, those very small ingredients. So now he actually just is, he's mixing the next batch, but he just dropped, what'd you drop in there? Edge 14. So in the mixer right now, that is actually underneath the floor out here. There is 4 tons of a feed called Edge 14 that is out there getting mixed up. You probably couldn't hear it on the camera, but we heard oil being sprayed on top of it. Anytime a textured feed, a sweet feed as you might know it, is in the mixer, it's finished. It's ready to go to the bag. Edge 14 happens to be a pelleted product, and so it actually has to go to a pellet machine, a pellet mill that will take it from a powder and form it into a pellet. So after all the ingredients are in the mixer, they're mixed up, it's going to come out, it's going to follow the green lines. It's kind of like playing chutes and ladders a little bit. If you follow that, this is Edge 14 that's currently in there, but there's another receiving or elevator taking the mixed ingredients up to another high point, dropping it to the distributors. Before Edge 14, he was working on a custom mix for a farm supply store over in Virginia. We make all the horse feed for Culpeper Farmers Co-op over in Virginia. So again, Edge 14's in there now. Pacemaker was in there before it. So he's got a whole list of production today. He's got, looks like 8 or 10 different feeds that they're going to make today. And he's going to make in the neighborhood of 200 tons of feed today. All right. So after we've mixed the feeds, they're still not complete just yet. Again, if it's sweet feeds, they go to the sweet feed line, and the last thing to happen is a little bit of molasses put on it before it hits the bag. But pelleted products are a very loose powder. They have to be formed into the pellet. So they come to one of these bins where they wait until it's ready to run through the pellet mill. The feed drops down into this conditioner tube, so it's a shaft that runs through the middle of there with a lot of beaters that come off of it. And it spins very quickly to make sure that steam is applied to all the ingredients. It activates the binding agent that's in there, and it dumps down into the front of the pellet mill. So it's a big round die. It's about that wide, has a lot of holes in it, and there's rollers that shove the feed out through those. If you've ever played with Play-Doh and pushed it through a form, that's kind of what we're doing with the feed right here. A lot of steam and a lot of force it out through those holes, and we just make round pellets. A smaller pellet, 1/8 inch, and a larger one, 1/2 inch. So it's cut off when it's long enough, comes down into a cooler because we warmed it up for this particular product. It's only about 136 degrees. Some of them are 150 or 160. We put a cooler fan on it, and it leaves there at about 60 degrees today. We have to cool it out because that steam, that's heat and moisture. If you put that into a dark bag and sew it up, you're just asking for a mold problem. So we have to cool all that out. After it leaves the cooler, takes another ride up the elevator. Feed gets more elevator rides in a day than you do in a big city. They're just up and down, it seems. These 3 slanted pieces there is actually, it's a Rotex. It cleans the feed. So it's shaking very rapidly. The dust comes off. It gets a chance to run one more time, and the small pellets come off. Finished product goes to a bin to wait and be bagged. And we're actually going to head out and watch feed go into a bag. If there's no questions right now, I hope we didn't lose people with our technical difficulties. All good. All right, so we're going to walk out this way, and we're going to see where we actually put it in the bag. Thanks, Jared. Thanks, Olivia. So William, if you can, just kind of show the bins. We were talking about bins 1 through 26. You can see 21, 22. Those are the bins that hold those macro ingredients. And then those stainless steel bins up here, those are the micro ingredients. Guys, we did it. We made it to the robots. I hope you can hear me okay. We're on a production floor, so it does get a little noisier. So this is the robot here. It's bagging that custom feed I told you about for Culpeper Farmers Co-op over in Virginia. So what happens is, when I started here 19 years ago, we did all this by hand. And there's probably still some feed mills today that do this by hand, but we had to move to some automated technology to be able to keep up with the demand for the products. These things work all day without a lunch break, and our team needs to take breaks. We want to treat them right. So we got to take breaks and vacations and holidays and things like that. But it does the same thing we did when I started here. If you look behind this robot, you can see the bags are coming over on a conveyor, and then they're swung up quickly. They're held on a funnel, which then it drops 50 pounds of feed into the bag. So this is the textured feed line. On the opposite side of this line, we won't see it today, but it's a complete identical set of equipment, and it bags all of the pelleted products. So again, this is the textured or sweet feed line. So right before it comes in here, there's 2 scales way up under that stainless steel hopper. One drops into the bag while the other weighs out, and it alternates back and forth. So when that bag is swung up on the funnel, 50 pounds of feed drops in. The robot grabs it, pulls it to the side, and from here it's going to run in. The top of the bag is cut off. We print a tag right on the line. So I don't know if it's kind of subtle. You might not see it on the camera, but that paper is being pulled through there. You'll see it get pulled tight. There it goes. So we don't have an inventory of tags. We used to have tags sitting around that we would apply by hand, but now it prints it right on the line. So no extra tags, and you can see the tag coming in right through here. It gets printed right on the line. The top of the bag gets cut off so it's perfectly even. Paper's folded over the top, and then you can see all the string here that sews it shut. So that all happens in behind right here. And it comes out finished, sewn shut, beautiful. Hey Wes, wave hi to the camera. So this is Wes. Wes is demonstrating a couple of the jobs back here on the production line. So Wes keeps the bags loaded. He keeps the computer up to date with what's being made, what needs to be made, how the molasses flows, how fast everything works, and make sure everything's nice and smooth. So he's doing a good job. You know, a lot of times people will ask us, everything's automated now. How many jobs did you lose when you automated? We've added jobs since we've automated, and we've made lives better. So guys that were picking up bags and bagging feed all day long, now they run laptops. Now they run the equipment. If everything goes well, it'll seem like kind of a slow day. They do a lot of bags, a lot of laptop work. They take samples of feed to keep for testing, guaranteed analysis, that sort of thing. And then guys that were stacking feed all day long, now they drive forklifts. So we made lives better as we've moved to automated technology. And because we've increased our production capabilities, we still only work Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So we could have just worked longer hours, another shift into the weekends with our older equipment. But I think everybody's happier when they get those weekends off. I know I am. All right, any questions about the production?
How many bags of feed can you make in one day? And how many bags can you make in a total week?
Right. So we average about 200 tons of feed per day. So if we take 200 times 40, that's about 8,000 individual bags per day. So you take that times 5, you're looking at 40,000 bags per week. Say we work 50 weeks in a year, it's about 2 million bags per year. When you look at it like that, a little bit of feed. 100 million, did I really do that right? 100 million, 200 tons. That's a whole lot of feed.
Where is all that feed going?
Oh, where is it going? As we get around some of this equipment, we'll talk about that. Just you wait.
So talking about the machines too, I know they're a little bit more automated, but is there still one person for each piece of machinery? How does that work?
Right, so as we look across through here, William, you can see there's a blue robot on that side stacking feed and a blue robot here. So that's what I was talking about, that we have 2 different lines. So go back to sort of those jobs, and we're going to talk about some other interesting jobs we have here, not just on the production end. But you have Corey and Jared in the production office. Corey's our production manager. I think he was out fixing something is the reason we didn't see him this morning. And he's a little camera shy. I show up with tours and guests. He finds a way to disappear. But he was out fixing something, reason we didn't see him. So Jared's our director of technology and innovation. Then we have these 2 lines. We have one gentleman that is able to run the entire pelleted production line by himself. And there's 2 gentlemen that stay on the this textured sweet feed line all the time. So they're really well self-contained. And the 2 that work here kind of float and help on both sides. Not a whole lot to be done here. There's basically a laptop or a computer on the front end and a computer back here on this end, and they're able to run both those at once. It looks like it's paused. He's probably in between. I can't see quite through there to see if he's switching bags or if he's in between feed right now. But at this point, yeah, we're looking at about 5 to 6 people that run all of the equipment to receive ingredients, mix the feed, run it through the pellet mills, get it to the automated packaging technology to get it on a pallet at the end of the line. I really love when people ask how many people work here, because then I joke and say about half of them. The answer is 34. We have 34 employees. All right, so we're going to give this. Oh, here he goes. He's got the feed coming back out now. So we're gonna wait and watch the robot here. As the feed, you'll see William's going to focus up here. When the feed comes up the line, as that bag appears right there, there's actually a printer right before you can see it, and it prints the date on every bag and a lot number and a bag count. So we know what day it was made, what batch it was part of, and exactly which bag it was in line, whether it was the first, second, third, or 1200th bag that we made in that line. So the robot grabs the feed, it swings over and places it. We're going to give him just a second. I don't know if he ran out of bags, but I see him running now. So the bags come up, you'll watch the robot pick up the bags and stack it on the pallet. This is what happens when you have a live tour. You get gaps, you get breaks, things happen. But you're going to watch the robot pick up the bags. So what's interesting is we're going to put 5 bags on a layer. It'll be 8 layers tall. So every pallet that comes out of here will be exactly 1 ton of feed, 2,000 pounds. So it's going to pick up 2 more bags to finish off this layer. And then when it grabs the very next bag, watch the robot pause for just a second. So what it did right then is it actually took a measurement. There's a little black box up there by the ceiling, and that black box actually takes a measurement to see how tall the pallet is. So instead of having a different program for every feed, because they have different densities, some bags are thick and fluffy, some are really small and compact. Instead of having a different program for every feed, it just takes a measurement at the end of every layer. All good?
So what would be the reason for numbering the bags? Why do you have to track them?
So we did this long before it was required by the government. It's in case we ever have to have a recall. Sorry, Olivia asked me the question. I talked to her. I should be talking to you guys. We do that in case we ever have to recall. Quality control, I go out and visit farms. I go and visit racetracks, visit the end users where the feed is. I look at the feed. I smell the feed everywhere I go. People probably think I'm crazy. I'm forever getting my hands in the feed and smelling it. It's quality indicators. That's what we do. And if there's a problem, I want to look at the bag and go, okay, it was this lot number. We made it this day and it was this bag. Because we make these in 4-ton batches, so we kind of want to know, was it the first batch, the second batch, the third batch? And then it tells us which bags in that batch we may have had an issue. We keep track of every lot number, every farm, every dealer around the country, everywhere it goes, so that if there was a problem, we know how to track it down and find it.
So while we're moving, I have another question.
Great.
Do a lot of people here start in entry-level positions and get to move up? How does that work? I mean, this is very...
No, it's a great question. So I started here as an intern. I did go to the University of Kentucky, graduated from the College of Agriculture with a degree in ag economics, and now I sell horse feed and talk nutrition for a living. It's, kind of a curvy road we can all take. I started here as an intern. I swept floors. I cleaned out the basement. I loaded trucks. I did everything. And 19 years later, director of sales and marketing. Might have should have mentioned that earlier. Maybe they did in the intro. But I absolutely did all the jobs, basically, to get to this position. Depends on what you're doing, what you want to do. Jared did not come in and start as director of technology and innovation. He came in with a somewhat similar experience as I did, working in the mill, learning all of it, learned every nut, bolt, joint, pipe, everything there is before he worked his way into that position. He had an aptitude for computers, for technology. He was able to prove that job, prove his worth in that position, rather. Now, roles, Willie is a forklift driver. He's from over in Bourbon County. That's a position you could work your way into, or if we needed to hire one, you can find somebody. It actually takes a license, guys, to run a forklift. That's not a walk-in and you do that unless you've already been trained and had it. But there is some training that goes into being a forklift driver. We have truck drivers. We may have one truck left, but we have truck drivers that drive up and down the roads. You got to have a CDL, a commercial driver's license. And there's training that goes into. Farms are pretty specialized. How do we drive around the farms? Where do we go? How do we put the feed? We have to train the guys how to rotate the feed, how to store it. You can't just put it right up against the wall. Concrete walls sweat in the summertime. They'll get condensation and moisture. That'll make feed go bad. So we have to train them to leave spaces. There's lots of little intricate pieces that come into play for the jobs. And so a lot of what I've talked about have been literally in production here in the mill. We're going to go back here because it's a little quieter, and I'm going to tell you about a few more jobs. So maybe if we get right over here. All right, maybe it's a little quieter back here. We got away from some of the production equipment. So that feed comes off the end of the line. Somebody asked earlier, where does it all go? Look at this wall of feed behind me. We're looking at probably 30 tons of Staminotes right here. Where does it go? Well, I told you, we're right here in Lexington. Within a half-hour drive from where we sit, you've got about 580 horse farms. That's where this product goes. But then we have dealers all around the country. at every major horse racing venue, at every major sport horse venue, whether that's quarter horses, Western disciplines down in Texas, whether that's 3-day eventing. You get the Land Rover 3-day event that fires up tomorrow out here at the horse park. But you have eventing all over the country, but there's big pods of sport horses, Wellington, Ocala, Long Island, Chicago, so lots of places, and we have dealers at all those locations. So our performance, some of our performance products, we'll see it as we get back in here in a minute, those are going out to a lot of those locations. Now, we deliver, I mentioned our truck drivers, so we deliver every day to those local farms I was talking about. We'll drive within about 70 miles of here as far as we deliver, and we'll take feed out to the breeding farms, those thoroughbred farms. We'll go to the racetracks. We go to the sport horse farms that are here locally. We'll take care of that. So we'll deliver, 120 tons a day that we'll haul out of here ourselves. Call it 100 tons a day, 100 to 120, that we take out and deliver ourselves. And then I told you about the distributors. We have semi-trucks back up to our back dock out here that we'll load up and send out to all those dealers and distributors around the country. And then international. We ship feed to about 16 countries internationally. And then we have manufacturing partnerships in 5 other countries, the UK, Ireland, New Zealand, South Africa, and India, where you don't buy made in USA. They have to make it locally, but they buy the kernels, secret herbs, and spices, if we're talking Kentucky, the protein, vitamin, minerals from us, and they build it locally. So that's kind of the distribution model. Do you have another question? I see you looking down.
What does a dealer do, and what type of experience or knowledge does that person need?
So dealers would operate at, call it a feed store. Dealer or distributor is a technical term. A distributor would be a company. We work with a company in Florida called Central States. They have a very large warehouse where they receive horse feed from us. They might receive brooms, buckets, snaps, anything you could need for a farm supply store. They're a distributor for us, and they go out to lots of little feed stores all throughout Florida and deliver everything they need to operate a store. So a dealer could potentially be somebody that has a feed store that, or a farm supply store that supplies everything you need for your horses. Could be tack, again, brooms, rakes, shovels, horse feed, horse treats, anything you could need to have horses run a farm. So a distributor is somebody that gets it out to lots of other stores. A dealer is that last place the feed goes before the end user can get it. Training, you know, if you're talking about working in a feed store, it'd be kind of like working retail. If you're talking about owning a feed store, now we're talking about, you got to know how to run a business. You got to know how to keep track of all your receipts and expenses. You're going to need a bookkeeper like we have here. You got to be able to file your taxes. Guess what, guys? If you haven't done so already and you got a job, this year it was pushed back, but tax day is coming up May 15th, I think, something like that. It's usually April 15th, but it was pushed to May. File your taxes if you haven't done so already. There's your tip of the day. So there is little pieces there is training. There's not jobs necessarily. There's not a lot of jobs you can just walk in and go to work day one. Even if you're working at a fast food restaurant, they're going to train you before you start. A lot of it can be on the job training. We're very lucky here in Kentucky. The community college system has a great sort of school to work programs, a lot of training that they can give. There's truck driver schools. There are opportunities for training everywhere. Another question? You good?
Yeah, so we have some guests that have seen that you all sell granola, but we know you primarily make horse food. Horse feed, excuse me.
Humans eat food, horses eat feed.
Well, do you all make anything else for humans here?
Yeah, so we clean the mixer out, and after hours, that's where we make the granola. No, that's not true, guys. Not at all. That's not allowed. The granola has to be made in a human food bakery. It's a very specialized deal. Everything we make here is just for the horse. That is all we focus on, and all that production equipment we saw. That is for the horse. We sell some granola. We sell some meat rub. Where we were rolling around the idea of a beef jerky, I think that one's on hold for a little bit, but granola and meat rub we do make. We have to have those made in a, what's the word, a commercial kitchen, so it's licensed. Guys, you can't just go out and do anything you want, especially when it comes to human food, animal feeds. They have to be licensed facilities. So our general manager, Jeff Pendleton, he laughs because he says he doesn't work for Mr. Bob Hall, who owns Hallway Feeds. He works for the government because he spends most of his days filling out government paperwork, making sure we've dotted every I, crossed every T, we're licensed, we're legal. And not just here, but since we sell feed in other states, he has to do paperwork for all those other states. We get taxed on how much feed we sell in other states. So they'll charge us basically by the ton that we're selling in other states. So I'm going to talk about some other jobs, unless you have other questions. Okay. So look, we've talked a lot about production. Guys hauling ingredients in, truck drivers, mixing the feed, bagging the feed, forklift drivers. What do I do? Director of Sales and Marketing. Do you want to put together ads? Do you want to run social media campaigns? That's a very brief, what did I do? We have salespeople. So we have regional salespeople. We've got one in Texas, one in Florida, one in the Mid-Atlantic, so Delaware, Pennsylvania, touches a little New Jersey, all of Virginia. And these are people that salesperson gets a bad rap. Nobody wants to be a used car salesperson, you know, the old stereotype. That is not what sales is about today. Sales is about relationships. You need to be able to talk to people. You need to understand what they're doing, what they need. So to do that for Hallway Feeds, you have to have understanding of horses. You have to have understanding of nutrition, and you still have to be able to talk to people, converse with them, understand their needs, and convey what they need. And it's not just being able to understand it and tell them, but you have to build that relationship so that they trust you. So salespeople, that's another job we have here. Maybe we should call it relationships or relationship building instead of salespeople. We have a technical services team. And right now we just actually brought on an intern from UK to learn more about that. We have a team that goes out, the technical services team, they go out every morning onto horse farms with a scale, not for the horse feed, but for the horses themselves. So it's we'll call it 6 foot long, about 3 foot wide, takes 2 people. It's made of aluminum. They set it down on the ground in the barn hallway, and it has a digital indicator attached to it. It is a scale for horses. That technical services team will weigh over 2,000 horses every month. They get their hands on a lot of horses. So what are they doing? Well, they are weighing. They take a height measurement and a body condition score, which is feeling the how much fat deposits, how lean, how muscular are the horses, and putting that on a scale of 1 to 9. And it's not just randomized 1 to 9, you pick it out. No, there are absolute definitions for each number. So they track the growth of young horses here in central Kentucky. So from the time they're foaled, and for thoroughbreds up until about 18 months old when they leave the farm to either go to the sales or go be trained, they track their growth. And we do that for a number of reasons, to learn how they're growing, to make sure they're growing appropriately, not too fast, not too slow. Maybe we need to adjust their nutrition. Maybe we need to wean early, wean late. There's a lot that goes into that. The overall health and condition of the horses. We do it for sport horses to track, are they steady? Are they at the weight where we want them? Can we get the peak performance out of them? If so, we don't need for their weight and conditions to be fluctuating up and down. We need to keep that steady as possible. So that's another area of expertise here, that technical services team. And William's pointing at some banners to me. Don't look at these banners. These are actually old, William. They need to be updated. You can see I haven't done that one in a few years. We should have looked at the Kentucky Derby banner out in the front part. We'll get it as we walk back through. We fed 14 Kentucky Derby winners since 1997. We're very proud of that. There are a lot of feed companies in this country, and the fact that Hallway Feeds right here in Lexington, Kentucky has fed 14 since 1997 is just astonishing to me. If we look at the entries for this year's Derby, I was looking at the TDN's Derby top 20 right now. We're attached to 14 of the 20 horses in this year's Kentucky Derby. So we're a little excited about the first Saturday in May this year.
You guys have some Triple Crown winners too.
We have fed a couple Triple Crown winners. American Pharaoh 2015 was the first Triple Crown winner that I saw. It actually saw the horse, saw him win the races. That was very exciting. Still is very exciting. We also fed Justify, and we have 4 horses. I said we have fed 14 Kentucky Derby winners. 4 of those were in utero, foaled, raised, and raced on hallway feeds. So American Pharaoh, Orb, Animal Kingdom, and Fusaichi Pegasus were in utero, in mama's belly, foaled, raised, and raced on hallway feeds. We're very proud of that. Those are special horses to us. So I'm trying to go back through kind of all the jobs because that was a big thing we were talking about. The production, delivery. If we go through our offices, we have a bookkeeper that takes care of all the bills, pays all the bills, receives all the payments, handles all the books. And then everything that we do there is sent out to an accountant that is taking care of the bigger books for the banks, for the government, taxes, all that. We have a human resources department. When you have a company, it doesn't matter if you're hallway feeds, if you're Sally's lemonade stand that went big time, and now you have employees, you got to have human resources. How are you taking care of health insurance? What are you doing for benefits, retirement plans, time off, all those sorts of things, sick leave, just all these things that you have to think about when you have a company. We talked just very briefly about our sales team, sales marketing, whether it's designing ads for publications, whether it's doing social media posts, running videos like this. We work with William right here. I'm going to give a shout out to William. William Warfield runs Prep Spin. If you guys haven't heard of it, he's the king of stream. William goes out, he helps us out a lot. He records all of our videos and edits those for us. You wouldn't think of that when you're thinking horse feed. We put out a lot of videos. Check out our YouTube channel. And here's William working on that. Prep Spin puts out all the high school basketball and football games that you see online. They broadcast the whole Sweet 16, boys and girls, from Rupp Arena here a few weeks ago. He's going to stream diving competitions over in Versailles later on. So there are so many jobs. You see all these buildings around central Kentucky. I know y'all have been covering a lot of horse farms. When you think horses, it doesn't have to be just on the farm. It doesn't have to be somebody leading a horse every day. There are so many ancillary businesses that serve the industry. You got horse country that's lined up a lot of this. You have the ladies that run that office that line up tours on all these farms. What about that? Tour operators. So there are so many jobs. There are so many opportunities. Guys, there's not hardly a company out there right now that doesn't have a hiring sign in the window. It's a good time to be out looking for work because almost everybody is hiring.
I've got some questions.
Your questions, hit me.
Yep. What is a fun fact about your job that no one would know?
Well, if I tell you, everybody knows. But here, I'll give you a fun one. I grew up on a thoroughbred horse farm. My father was a farm manager of a very large thoroughbred farm, very historic, Claiborne Farm over in Paris. He was there for 32 years, I believe it was, farm manager. Loved being on a farm, especially this time of year. It's gorgeous. You got babies running around everywhere. It is a lot of fun. But that was not the line of work I was interested in. I knew I wanted something different. And so started here as an intern, and I said I worked from sweeping the floors up to director of sales and marketing. But had I been asked in college to design my perfect job, I'd have gotten it wrong. I absolutely love what I do here. I have been to, and I'd have to look up the exact number, but I have seen racing at 54 different racetracks in 12 different countries. Who knew that, huh? Nobody here's raising their hand. I think that is just a really neat thing. And what I've learned in all that is that once you get on the backstretch of a racetrack, it's the same. No matter where you are in the world, the people are the same, the horses are the same, the problems, the nutrition that's needed, you're dealing with the same thing. Now, the city around it might be different, the customs are different, they might be running in a different direction, but the horses and the people are actually the same once you get down and you get to working with them. So there's a fun one.
So for someone who's interested in getting involved in this profession, what would you recommend? Where do they start?
I think a great place to start is internships experience. if you want, we rely a lot on nutrition and nutrition research. That's pretty specialized. That's you're going to school and you're getting pretty deep into that. But a company like Kentucky Equine Research over in Versailles offers internships, and you get a taste for those sorts of things. Get jobs, get different jobs, try things out. Every summer you should have a different job, multiple different jobs. When I was in school, I was working 3 different jobs. You learn something from everything you do. Some jobs you learn what you want to do. Some jobs you learn what you don't want to do. Well, don't find out you don't want to do it and just quit. Work your period of time that you set up you're going to work. Leave with good experience, people thinking well of you. Networking is key to everything you're going to do the rest of your life. Who knows you and what do they think about you? So work hard. You're going to learn something from everything you do. So the biggest thing you can do is get out, talk to people. We've been hiring for truck drivers. That's been kind of the only position open. Hallway feeds is a little unique. Our average tenure, so the average time of people that have been here and work here is 20 years. So we don't have a lot of turnover. People come here and they like to be here. They like to work here. We expect a lot of people, but we reward them well for what they do. But get out and talk to people. We have people that shadow us. Go out, if there's something you think you're interested in, find a professional in that industry, ask if you can follow them for a day, ask if you can be in the office, the field, just learn more about what they do. So my advice is get out there, put yourself out there, look for opportunities, internships, leadership programs, anything you can do to get out and meet people, learn more about them. Because you don't know if you want to do it until you get out and learn more about it.
1 bar left.
Oh, running a little low on battery there. Any more questions?
Not for the moment.
All right. So we've just about hit our time. Was just going to show you most of our feeds around here. If they're heading straight to the farm, we keep it in a pretty standard bag. Look, there's another job. We have to buy all these bags from somewhere. Made in the USA, everything we can. So our farm bags, they're pretty standard bags, white bags, that's Hallway Feeds. We want everybody to know who it is.
What about the seal on the bag?
And then you can tell our bags that are going to go to a retail environment are shiny, they're pretty. We try and put information about got a tag on every bag going to the farms, but these things for retail, we're not there, we're not able to talk to them, so we have to put in information on the bag to let somebody know what it's for. And so William pointed out, hey, talk about the seal, manufactured in a medication-free facility. Not everybody can say this, so we make sure to talk about that. That's very important when it comes to horse feed. And then we like to share that it's made in the USA, and then a lot of the important information, the name of the feed, what it's used for. Got to put this nutritional analysis and all the ingredients on there. And we list every ingredient by name. That's not done everywhere. That's a choice we make to list the actual name of the ingredient because it never changes. So we don't use, we're allowed to use general terms in the industry, grain products, byproducts, things like that. We use the actual name of the ingredients to show people that it never changes. So Olivia, we're kind of hitting our time. I don't want to.
They said that we could go a little bit over since we started late, but okay. I know that the camera's also dying. So yeah. Use your judgment on it. There's different more things you want to show us?
Yeah, let's see. Tell us if the camera, we're getting really far away from the base. So tell us if the camera kind of bugs out here. This is kind of a fun department back here. It's very active. We're not going to walk into the middle of it. Let's see, we got forklifts everywhere at us. Here we go. We're going to look in the back of a semi-truck if it'll make it. We got a truck right here getting loaded up. Hey, Joel, where are you headed? Bartlett. So this is heading to the Carolinas. This company handles our horse feed over there. So that's going to a distributor. Remember we talked about that earlier? A distributor. They receive a full semi-load of feed, and then they get it out to other feed stores that are in their area. So something that wasn't asked, you see it better when you're here in person, but how many different feeds do you make? Well, as you look around, you can tell we're walking past a lot of different feeds. We really have a big 3 products that we make all the time, every day. We have well over 100 recipes, but basically every week there's going to be about 20 feeds that we make every single week. Because what you're seeing here won't exist in about 10 days. I don't mean it won't be here. I mean, it'll already be delivered to the farm, fed to the horse, and won't exist in about 10 days in the local market.
Do you all get your bags locally?
No, well, not locally. Sorry, do we get our bags locally? No, the bags aren't made locally. They are made in the USA. They come from a company right now called Hood Packaging, and they make all of our bags for us. And you can tell we have some different ones. These are all paper, and then you can tell the slick, shiny ones there that are going to the retail environment draw a little more attention to them.
That banner.
Yeah, we're going to show you the Kentucky Derby banner that's hanging up here. So we kind of joke around here a lot. So these banners are all updated. We got the Kentucky Derby winning horses here, the 14 that have run on hallway feeds. We got our Preakness winners behind it, and the Belmont in the back. And then we have our Kentucky Oaks, Breeders' Cup Classic, and Breeders' Cup Distaff banners. These are winners that have run on hallway feeds. When we give a lot of tours, it's fun to be able to point that out. That American flag there, William. So that's there because when Mike Pence was vice president, he came here for a visit a couple years ago. It was very much an honor to host the vice president. And I was going to say, we have a sort of a running joke. No 2 days are ever the same here at All-Way Feeds. We do something different all the time. Who thinks when you get into selling horse feed, you're going to be doing a live video interview from out in the mill? We hosted the vice president for a visit. And that week that he came, which they have still never confirmed that he will be visiting here to this day. I guess that's security protocol. They still haven't confirmed, but he did come. We worked for the Secret Service that week. I mean, they were all over and securing and lines of sight and doors and who can see what and can't see what. And I worked with the press corps division of the White House that week. Secret Service worked with a lot of our production team, securing everything. It was an amazing experience. It'd take a long time to talk about that one. We won't do it today. But that was a lot of fun as well. So we talked about technical services, production, delivery. Heck, then there's the guy that owns the place. You got the Hall family. Lee Hall is our vice president. His sister Julia Hall runs she's vice president of First Impressions. If you ever get the opportunity to come for a tour, you'll understand why she has that title. The office is a little bit more like a museum. A lot of history in there, a lot of artwork, but it's how she makes every guest feel when they come in, how they're greeted and treated. That's all Julia. She also runs the HR department as well. And then Mr. Bob Hall, he'll be 91 years old in May, and he still comes in every single day after he gets his work done on the farm. So he's got his priorities straight. We all need to learn from Mr. Bob. Anything else? Nope, that's okay. Jerry can do it all. Director of Technology and Innovation. He makes the feed, and look at this. Drives the forklift and loads some trucks. What a guy. All right. Springtime in Kentucky. We had 2 inches of snow this morning, and I wanted you to see. Now it's sunshine, and we're going to see all the green again. So you never know what you're going to get around here.
No more questions.
No more questions. Gang, that is all I had for today. If you come up with other questions later, feel free to email me, anthony@hallwayfeeds.com. Always happy to talk. And again, if you're interested to learn more about it, set up shadow days. We're always interested in helping young people. So none of us got where we are completely on our own. Somebody at some point took you under the wing and said, let me show you, let me help you. So always happy to talk to, heck, you don't have to be young people. We'll talk to anybody, but always happy to visit with anybody and let them learn more about what we do and how we do it. So that's all I got today, guys. Thanks for joining us. Sorry about the troubles early on, but glad we made it through it all together.
Thank you so much, Anthony and Olivia and the whole team at Hallway Feeds for that great session. I know I learned a lot. And thank you all for tuning in and bearing with us for those little technical difficulties at the beginning of the session. But like we said earlier, this will be housed on our YouTube and Facebook if you would like to share or rewatch. We hope you all can join us next week for our next Workforce Wednesday live session with the Kentucky Equine Adoption Center, also in partnership with Horse Country. So thanks again to our speakers, and we will see you all next week. Thanks.